Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nara Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to the class. So please keep yourselves on mute. And yeah, so those who are on, those who are not muted themselves, please mute yourselves. Okay. So yesterday what we had done is, we had completed till the 13th shloka from the 4th chapter. And if you see, just give you a quick recap of what exactly happened yesterday in all those 13 shlokas. So Vidura approaches Maitre Muni. So in this particular chapter, with the Lord's permission, the Yadus ate the remnants and they drank liquor and they became, they became maddened because of pride. And they started using harsh words against each other. And due to intoxication, their minds became unbalanced. And that's how they destroyed each other, just as the analogy of the bamboo is given over there. When the bamboos, they clash with each other, there is a friction. Then there is a question that how would the eternal associates of the Lord be vanquished in his presence? So the answer given in the Bhagavatam is that this is an action of the Lord's Swa Atma Mayaya. Witnessing this, Lord Krishna, sipped the water of the Saraswati river and sat down under the tree. So if you see how this is an action of Lord Swa Mayaya or the Swa Atma Mayaya, because the Devtas who entered into these various Yadavas, the Lord's eternal associates, what they did is they separated themselves from the Yadavas and then they came to Prabhashetra. And Krishna wanted them to be dispatched to their respective heavenly abodes because the demigods had come for a mission and that mission is accomplished. So now they have to go over there back to their heavenly abodes. And then the Lord met Uddhava and Maitra Rishi. So when Krishna spoke to Uddhava, because when they met each other, then Krishna spoke to Uddhava for two reasons. Because there was Maitra Muni also and Uddhava also. So why did Krishna speak only to Uddhava? So there, because Krishna wanted to remove the suffering of Uddhava, and also he wanted that Uddhava should go to Badrika Ashram to relieve his pain by taking the association of the sages over there. And then Uddhava, he actually was searching for the Lord. He saw him deeply thinking alone, then taking shelter of Mother Saraswati. He started meditating on the Lord, and then he saw a very beautiful form of the Lord. And then in that sitting posture, he was sitting under a banyan tree. And that time, Maitri Muni, the friend of Vyasadev, reached over there. And then Maitreya was attached to Lord Krishna, and he was listening to Lord Krishna very submissively with a smile. And then Uddhava is telling, but Krishna glanced at me. So now Lord Krishna spoke to Uddhava, and because Uddhava is an eternal associate, Anitya Siddha, and then Lord Krishna is giving some instructions to Uddhava that, see, in your present life, this present life is the last life for you. And now what you can do, you can go to Vaikuntha. And then you visit me, whatever you visited me in this lonely place, but I'm about to disappear from this vision of this world. And because of your pure devotional service, you know what, I'm giving you this thing. And then what happens is that Brahma has spoken the last slok that we saw, that at the beginning of the creation, Brahma spoke about the glories and about the Supreme Lord, and that is actually the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's Chaturshloki. So now from the 14th shloka onwards, Uddhava gets overwhelmed and he glorifies Krishna. He is praying to Krishna. So in the 14th shloka, Uddhava says to Vidura that because I was overwhelmed by the Lord's reciprocation, so I was so overwhelmed that I had tears in my eyes and I had goosebumps. And in that folded condition, I prayed to the Supreme Lord. So let's see what are Uddhava's prayers to the Lord. So here he is speaking to Vidura. Ityadruktokta paramasya pumsam pratikshanānugraha bhajano aham snehottha roma slakhilaktakshārasta munchanchunja prajjali rabhabhashe. So the translation goes as, Uddhava said, O Vidura, when I was thus favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears, and the hairs on my body erupted. After smearing my tears, I with folded hands spoke like this. So now Uddhava speaks to the Lord. So Uddhava is saying that, see, these are certain prayers in the Bhagavatam where these prayers can help us also. So how do we pray to the Lord? Or even if you see in Canto 2, Canto 1, there are so many prayers. Prayers by Kunti Maharani, prayers by Bhishma Dev, prayers by the Dwarka Vasis, and then in Canto 2 also, Shukdev Goswami is also praying before speaking the Bhagavatam. He is praying for empowerment of speech. So, these prayers help us whenever we are in a dilemma, whenever we are in some at crossroads. These really prayers help us. So if we really dive into these prayers and by heart these prayers can help us. So he says that Konvishate पादसरोज भाजाम सुदुर्लभ अर्थेषु चार्थेषु अपि तथापि नाहं प्रवृणोमि भूमन् भवत्पदां भोज निवेश वनो no utsukah. So he says that, yeah. Lakshminarayan Prabhu, please read the translation and purport, both.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Danapram.
Narayana Prabhu.
Translation. O my Lord, devotees who engage in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet have no difficulty in achieving anything within the realm of the four principles of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But, O Great One, as far as I am concerned, I have preferred only to engage in the loving service of your lotus feet. Purport. Those who are associated with the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets achieve all the bodily features of the Lord and appear to be the same as Lord Vishnu. Such liberation is called Sarupya Mukti, which is one of the 5 kinds of liberation. The devotees engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord never accept the Sayujya Mukti, or merging in the rays of the Lord, called the Brahmajyoti. The devotees can achieve not only liberation but any success in the realm of religiosity, economic development, or sense gratification up to the standard of the demigods in the heavenly planets. But such a pure devotee as Uddhava refuses to accept all such facilities. A pure devotee wants simply to engage in the service of the Lord and does not consider his own personal benefit. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So, what he's saying over here that devotees who engage in your loving service have no difficulty in achieving anything. You know, what among the 4 goals of Artha, Dharma, Kama, and Moksha is difficult to achieve for one who is worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord? So that therefore, Uddhava is saying that I do not accept these things at all. Since I am very much enthusiastically engaged in serving your lotus feet. And Uddhava might say that, do you desire to give knowledge of yourself so that I, your servant, can attain sarupya or liberation from this material world? I don't think so. And these 4 goals, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which of these is rare for those who are worshipping your lotus feet? And jnana, without these desires will bring about the result of liberation only by worshipping your lotus feet. See what he is trying to say now, that the success of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha also, or the success of jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga also, cannot be attained until and unless you do bhakti yoga. So if somebody wants to perfect, or somebody wants to be a perfect jnani, and he wants to have that perfect 100% result, still he has to take the shelter of bhakti yoga. Or even an ashtanga yogi, if he wants perfection in samadhi, that's the last this, if he wants that perfection of samadhi, still he has to take the shelter of bhakti yoga. Because at every step, the ashtanga yogi has to give up something to go to the next level, right? But in bhakti yoga, as I always say, that a bhakti yoga does not have to give up anything, neither in this world or nor in that world. Because for a bhakti yogi, the means and the goals are the same. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Here also we are doing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. In the spiritual world also, when we go, we have to do the same activity. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. So, he says that I do not accept any of these things which are attained automatically. Since I am very much engaged enthusiastically in serving your lotus feet. And this jnana is of no use to me. See, Uddhava was a jnana yogi. And when he met the gopis transformed him to a bhakta. So that is why he's saying that this jnana that I have is of no use. So this is what he is trying to pray in this particular shloka. So let's go to the next. Then he's saying that कर्मण्य निहस्य भवो अभवस्य ते दुर्गाश्रयो अथारि भयात् पलायनम कालात्मो यत् प्रमदायुताश्रमाः स्वात्मन् रते कदीयति धीर vidam aha. So he's saying that further. Anuprabhu, please read this translation and purport.
Translation. My Lord, even the learned sages become disturbed in their intelligence when they see that your greatness engages in fruitive work, although you are free from all desires, that you take birth, although you are unborn, that you flee out of fear of the enemy and take shelter in a fort, although you are the control of invincible time, and that you enjoy householder life surrounded by many women, although you enjoy in yourself. Purport. Pure devotees of the Lord are not very much concerned with philosophical speculation in regard to transcendental knowledge of the Lord, nor is it possible to acquire complete knowledge of the Lord. Whatever little knowledge they have about the Lord is sufficient for them, because devotees are simply satisfied in hearing and chanting about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This gives them all transcendental bliss. But some of the pastimes of the Lord appear contradictory even to such pure devotees, and thus Uddhav asked the Lord about some of the contradictory incidents in his pastimes. The Lord is described as having nothing to do personally, and is actually so because even in the creation and sustenance of the material world, the Lord has nothing to do. It seems contradictory then to hear that the Lord personally lifts the golden hill for the protection of his unalloyed devotees. The Lord is the supreme Brahman, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead appearing like a man. But Uddhav has doubts whether he could have so many transcendental activities. There is no difference between the personality of Godhead and the impersonal Brahman. How then can the Lord have so many things to do, whereas the impersonal Brahman is stated to have nothing to do either materially or spiritually? If the Lord is ever unborn, how then is he born as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki? He is fearful even to Kal, the supreme fear, and yet the Lord is afraid of fighting Jarasandh and takes shelter in a fort. How can one who is full in himself take pleasure in the association of many women? How can he take wives and, just like a household, take pleasure in the association of family members, children, relatives, and parents? All these apparently contradictory happenings bewilder even the greatest learned scholars, who, thus bewildered, cannot understand whether inactivity is a fact or whether these activities are only imitations. The solution is nothing to do with anything mundane. All his activities are transcendental. This cannot be understood by the mundane speculators. For the mundane speculators, there is certainly a kind of bewilderment, but for the transcendental devotees, there is nothing astonishing in this. The Brahman conception of the absolute truth is certainly the negation of all mundane activities, but the Para-Brahman conception is full with transcendental activities. One who knows the distinction between the conception of Brahman and the conception of Supreme Brahman is certainly the real transcendentalist. There is no bewilderment for such transcendentalists. The Lord himself also declares in Bhagavad-gītā 10.2, even the great sages and demigods can know hardly anything about my activities and transcendental potencies. The right explanation of the Lord's activities is given by Grandfather Bhishma Dev, Bhagavatam 1.9.16 as follows. Nahi asya karasya jajan pum veda videsitam yada vignaya saya yukta moyanti kavapihi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So he's saying that karmani ahasya. So he's saying it, you engage in fruitive work, although you are free from all desires. And then he's saying that bhavo abhavasya. You take birth. Bhava means you take birth. But abhavasya, although you are unborn. And then he's saying that Durga ashrayo athari bhayat palayanam kalatmano. So he's saying that Durga ashrayo, you flee in fear of the enemies, and then you take shelter in in a fort. And although you are the controller of the invisible time, and then he's saying that Pramada Yat Ashrama, sorry, Yut Ashrama. He's saying that, and Swa Atman Ratehe. He's saying that you enjoy the Grihastha ashram or the householder life with many women. But although you enjoy in your self, Swa Atman Ratehe. Rate means enjoying. So he's saying that you are without action, but you perform action. You are without birth, but you take birth. You are the form of time, but you flee in fear of enemies and you take shelter in a fort. You are self-enjoying, you're Atmaram, but you accept household life with thousands of wives. So those who are intelligent or those who are wise, their intelligence is completely bewildered by these actions. So he's saying that we servants, we attain supreme bliss just by seeing and remembering your form, qualities, and pastimes. And the knowledge of these items also is not sufficient because it is impossible to know you completely because of very little knowledge that we have. But many of your pastimes are contradictory to our logic. And he's saying that, and that is why he's asking in these that you are without action and yet you perform action, like lifting up the Govardhan hill. And even when you are doing the creation part, the action of creation of the universe are also not included because it is done directly by the Maya and the Gunas. Of course, the action of the creation we'll again see in chapter number 5. The next chapter is the same. And then he's saying that when these Shrutis are describing you as having no action, so there is no contradiction if the action refers to the creation of the material nature or the material world. So he's saying that what is that shloka he's using? There was one shloka he used over here. Okay, fine. So the Lord is without parts, the Lord is without actions, he is peaceful, he is without fault, he is without any blemish also. So, but these activities like, lifting up the Govardhan, killing the Kalya, and they are performed by his own Swarupa. So this is a contradiction to your quality of non-action. They say you don't do action, but you're doing the action of lifting up the Govardhan hill. And Uddhava is saying that this is my doubt. So, that another meaning actually can be taken here that you are the human form of the Supreme Brahman. In the human form, you perform unlimited spiritual actions. But in the form as the Brahman, there is no material or spiritual action. So, one cannot say that Brahman is the Swarupa with no qualities and Bhagwan is the Swarupa with qualities that are different. There are different Brahmans. Okay, since there are not two Brahmans, there is actually only one Brahman. So there is again a doubt. So he's saying that you take birth, though you have no birth. Though you are the form of time itself, you are fleeing out of fear of this Jarasandha and then you're taking shelter in the fort. So this is completely very contradictory to us. And he is very perplexed, basically. And that is why he's saying, in the end, he's saying that, Prabhupada has given the meaning. He's saying that, because this is ninth chapter of the first canto. He's saying no one can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord. Why? Because even those who are engaged in reasoning and scriptures, they are still bewildered. They are still bewildered by that inquiry. So with Uddhava here is expressing his bewilderment to these contradictions, because when Krishna says in the because even what Bhishma Dev says, Krishna himself is saying that Name Vidu Suragana Prabhavan na Maharshaya. Even the Devtas, the head of the Devtas, Brahma, and all the great sages, Vyasadev, they also do not know my excellence. They do not know about my the activities of my birth. So what to speak about you? What to speak about any other person? So that is why this is the perplexity that Uddhava is expressing. And further he says that in the 17th shloka he says that Mantreshu ma va upayatva yatvam kuntita khanda savda atmabodha pruchhe prabho mugda iva pramatta stanno mano mohayativa devah. So he says that, ahead he says, Priyanka, please read this translation and purport both.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation.
Yeah.
Translation. O my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time, and there is no limitation to your perfect knowledge. Thus, you were sufficiently able to consult with yourself, yet you called upon me for consultation, as if bewildered, although you are never bewildered. And this act of yours bewilders me. Purport. Uddhava was never actually bewildered, but he says that all these contradictions appear to be bewildering. The whole discussion between Krishna and Uddhava was meant for the benefit of Maitreya, who was sitting nearby. The Lord used to call Uddhava for consultation when the city was attacked by Jarasandha and others, and when he executed great sacrifices as part of his routine royal work as Lord of Dwarka. The Lord has no past, present, and future because he is unhampered by the influence of eternal time, and thus nothing is hidden from him. He is eternally self-intelligent. Therefore, his calling for Uddhava to give him enlightenment is certainly astonishing. All these actions of the Lord appear to be contradictory, although there is no contradiction in the routine activities of the Lord. Therefore, it is better to see them as they are and not attempt to explain them. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much. So he's saying that Krishna, you are full of knowledge. You're unaffected by time. And you're complete also. And you are and you always used to call me for consultation and ask me, just like sometimes ignorant people will call about some other experts, and they will take some expert advice, and you are very much attentive to my advice also. So though you are full of knowledge, you are acting in this way that you don't have knowledge. This act in itself is bewildering me, because what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport also, he's saying that only, that in many of the decisions, such as killing of the Jarasandha and performing of Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna would call Uddhava and he would ask, tell me, what should I do? And he was always aware of everything. That is why he says that Sadatma Bodha. He's saying that. And Krishna is always complete in him own self. He's akhanda. He's saying, that is why he's saying akhanda. He's always complete. And Krishna is not worn out by, time. Akunchita, he's saying over here. And that is why, akuntita. And that is why he's saying that though Krishna possesses the Samvit Shakti, why is Krishna acting like a fool and asking like a person who does not know anything? And still, Krishna was never inattentive to Uddhava's advice. So, immediately he used to, being advanced, ignorant and full of knowledge, bewilders this mind of Uddhava. And in this verse, it is said that he was like a fool. So one could, that explain that he appeared like a fool, but he was not a fool, right? You can't say Krishna was a fool or Krishna is a fool, not that way. But he was behaving as if, like in front of the spiritual master, I am a fool number one. Even if I have knowledge, I will always remain a fool number one in front of my spiritual master. That does not mean that I am a fool, but I will show my humility that yes, my spiritual master, you know everything. What I cannot see, you definitely are able to see the past, present, and future for me. So it's not that any educational qualification also. For example, like there are many spiritual masters and there are many disciples. The disciple is more educated than the spiritual master. Or even if you see with the Shiksha Gurus, the Shiksha Guru is a little less, educated than the student. Like my Shiksha Guru is just 8th standard pass when we took, Shiksha from him. But that was not an impediment. Even if we were, IT, we were IT engineers and my Shiksha Guru is just 8th pass. But for us, the main important thing was that he is giving us that knowledge and he has a higher knowledge. We might have material knowledge, but, and he might not have material knowledge, but he has higher spiritual knowledge, and that is what makes him more worshipable than others, right? So even the spiritual master may not be highly qualified than the disciple, but still the disciple is a fool number one in front of his spiritual master. So like that. And Krishna is actually depicting. And even if you see, like what I see in my spiritual master might know the answer. My spiritual master might know everything, but still he will keep on asking his disciples, do you think I gave a good class today? Do you think that I did the right thing today? Do you think that, for example, I remember once when one of the disciples of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj had come to Delhi from Pune. And at that point of time, I was living in Delhi. So he was telling me that your spiritual master is so humble that when I met your spiritual master is asking me that, do you think that this Delhi temple is made very perfectly fine? And do you find any faults in this temple? Is there any room for improvement? Any improvements to be done into this temple? And that disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was so humbled that such a great guru and such a great sannyasi, he has built so many temples all around the world, and he is asking a very small person like myself, who is a grihastha and I don't know head or tail about anything, and he's asking me. So that is the humility the spiritual masters carry. And imagine, what we are the disciples of such spiritual masters, then what level of humility we should be carrying, right? So, if you see, when a person becomes a perfect devotee of Krishna, he will imbibe the qualities of Krishna. And strikingly, it just struck me right now that this quality, even my spiritual master carries that quality, that he's acting, as if he does not know in front of one of his own God brother's disciple. And Krishna is also, behaving as if he does not know. So that is why one could explain that this means that he appeared like a fool, but Krishna was not a fool. So this is bewildering for whom? This is bewildering for Uddhava. But actually, it only seems to be bewildering, but it is not bewildering. And there is no, you can say, incongruity over here. However, it will be, useless to raise a point in the sentence where the statements are not contradictory. And therefore, such type of explanation is generally rejected as such. So let's see the next shloka. I'm sorry, there's a little more explanation with this shloka. So ahead he says that, Uddhava is requesting Krishna. He says that, Jnana param swatma raha prakasham provacha kasme bhagavan samagram apikshamam no grahanaya bhartah varda jassa yadvrujani taremaha. Sorry, this is Rujinam taremaha. So he says that, so we have one new entry in our class. Her name is Shilpa Bhosle Mataji. Mataji, can you read this translation and purport? You'll have to unmute yourself and read. Vaishnavi Gosavi, please read this translation purport both.
Translation. Mataji, translation nahi dikh raha.
हाँ, yeah, sorry.
My Lord, kindly explain to us, if you think us competent to receive it, that transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself and which you explained before to Brahmaji. Purport. A pure devotee like Uddhava has no material afflictions because he engages constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A devotee feels afflicted without the association of the Lord. Constant remembrance of the Lord's activities keeps the devotee alive, and therefore Uddhava requested that the Lord please enlighten him with the knowledge of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as previously instructed to Brahmaji.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
So this is a very striking line which she read. What she read, she said, constant remembrance of Lord's activities keeps the devotee alive. So, when Shravan and Kirtan very strong, then remembrance will keep us alive. Otherwise, if we are not remembering the activities of the Lord, we are as good as dead. हम मृत है. अगर हम सिर्फ कर्मकांड चीजें करते हैं, we are just doing, work, only karma, which is binding us into, so many reactions. But the remembrance, and how will we remember the Lord? We will remember the Lord only in the association of devotees. Otherwise, there is no, And initially, actually, this COVID time was a great boon for the ISKCON movement, and great boon for the ISKCON movement in the sense that people, those, and in fact, there are many people who got connected also to the ISKCON movement. People came so closer. All these, study classes and reading classes and hearing classes and so many things started in that. And people got uplifted during the COVID time. So that was like a boon for the ISKCON devotees, at least, that they were able to halt their busy lives to give some time for Krishna consciousness. They could give some time to internalize that really what I should be doing in my life. Especially actually for me also, it was a great boon, because that was the time even I started internalizing things, that what do I want to do. Because when I came over here, I had said that no, I'm not going to preach for 5 years. I will just take knowledge and then I will preach. But then COVID was a big alarm for me that, okay, now enough. 2016 to 2020 has come, 5 years over. Now you should start preaching. And that's where I too started preaching during that time. So, and we realized that how we can, only in the association of devotees, we can remember Krishna. We are handicapped without the association of devotees. And a devotee feels that pang of separation. A devotee feels afflicted without the association of the Lord. Jaise, how, if you do not give the fish water, or the fish is not comfortable outside water, similarly, the devotees are not comfortable outside the association of the Lord. They want the association of devotees and they want the association. Association of the Lord means, chanting and serving the Supreme Lord, or hearing about the Supreme Lord, or reading the Bhagavatam, reading the Bhagavad-gītā. That is association of the Lord for the devotees. So, yeah, before that there were online classes, but there were not so many prominent online classes. Only because of this COVID, we could get the association of devotee. Now, imagine, I could never imagine in my whole life that I'm getting association of devotees sitting in Hyderabad, Bangalore, in Indore, in Delhi, in Nasik, and where places like Anup Prabhu is from South Africa. Where will I will means not in my wildest dreams also that and all these devotees are gems and jewels. Every devotee who's coming and reading, and we are just 7 or 8 of us, but still I am very happy in this association. Like people will say that no, we will do reading class only if there are more than 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. But I'm happy with 5-6 people, because I feel that at least we 5-6 people are serious and focused about reading as such. And we are trying to get the association of the book Bhagavatam. So that way. So this is what is being said in this particular shloka. And then he's saying that because he's saying that oh Lord, you're speaking the highest complete knowledge, which reveals what is difficult to understand about even Brahma could not understand about yourself. And if you feel qualified, please tell me now. For by that knowledge, I will at least cross this ocean of sorrow arising from your disappearance. Of course, Krishna is going to disappear from this earth planet. And that is why he's saying that let me, get a relief by, this. So, Therefore, Uddhava is saying that I am desiring this knowledge which will eradicate all these doubts, these all contradictory doubts previously. So this means what? The knowledge which will solve these contradictions that I have just asked, that you engage in fruitive work and although you are free from all desires and all these. So, and which is not known to anybody. And not just that, knowledge which you promised to give me, as you previously mentioned, because if you see in the previous shloka, where Krishna said that I gave this knowledge to Brahma about my transcendental glories. And then the Chatushloki shloka that was being recited, right? So you spoke that knowledge to Brahma, or you didn't speak to anyone alone. In that case, like, if you are merciful to me, then please speak it. If I'm qualified to receive it, then please speak it. If I'm qualified and if it is possible, please explain also. And if not, then so don't speak to me. So he's saying that if you give me this knowledge, then I will cross this ocean of sorrow. Vrujinam, he's saying that. And this sorrow, which is arising from the destruction of the Yadus, and then and to top it, your disappearance also, which will happen now. And that is why I'm asking you. So you please, I request you. So this is, requesting Krishna about the knowledge that he wanted to give and he wants to know. Then now, after hearing from the Lord, Uddhava started to Badrika Ashram, right? And then, so Uddhava, so actually the Lord, he, so then, when Uddhava says this to Krishna, then Krishna is explaining his own position. So he says that Ityavedita haradaya mahyam sa bhagavan param adi deshar vidantaksha atmana paramasthitim. So he says that. Yeah, Shilpa Mataji, please read the translation.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna to all of you. When I thus expressed my heartfelt desires unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his intranscendental situation. Purport: the words paramam, Sitam are significant in this verse. The Lord's
Your voice
transcendental...
went very low. I think you're away from the instrument.
No, actually, my phone is not that good. Okay, I'll just try to do it once again.
Yeah, now it is very clear. It is very clear now.
Okay. The words paramam sthitam are significant in this verse. The Lord's transcendental situation was not even spoken of to Brahma when the four verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2.9.33 to 36 were explained. This transcendental situation compromises his dealings with devotees engaged in transcendental loving service, as exhibited at Dwarka and Vrindavan. When the Lord explained his specific transcendental situation, it was meant for Uddhava only. And therefore, Uddhava particularly said, Mayam, unto me, although the great sage Maitreya was also sitting there, such a transcendental situation is hardly understood by those whose devotion is mixed with speculative knowledge or fruitative activities. The Lord's activities in confidential love are very rare. Disclosed to the general devotee who are attracted by devotion mixed with knowledge and mysticism. Such activities are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord.
Yeah. Thank you, Madhavi. Madhavi,
Yes.
do you have those earplugs plugged in into your ears and then you're hearing?
Not really. I'm not using
Yeah,
any.
because now when you read halfway, your voice
Mhm.
it went as if away from the instrument actually. Again, it went
Oh,
away from the instrument.
oh. Should I read once again half of the paragraph if you want?
Yeah, from where it disappeared, I'll tell you. When the
Yeah.
Lord
Just
explained,
let me know.
yeah,
Okay, I'll read it once again, Mataji.
yeah, read from you, Mother.
Just let me know immediately if my voice disappears. You can
Sure,
disturb me.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
When the Lord explained his specific transcendental situation, it was meant for Uddhava only. And therefore, Uddhava particularly said, Mayam, that means unto me. Although the great sage Maitreya was also sitting there. Such a transcendental situation is hardly understood by those whose devotion is mixed with speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. The Lord's activities in confidential love are very rarely disclosed to the general devotees who are attracted by devotion mixed with knowledge and mysticism. Such activities are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord.
Yeah, this was
Is that
really,
okay?
yeah, very clear, very clear.
Thank
Mataji,
you so
where
much.
are you from?
I'm from Pune, Mataji.
Ah, Pune only. Where do you stay in Pune?
Hadap, sir.
How did you get to know about this group?
I don't remember now anything
Ah,
because it's long back. I have been added to this group.
okay, okay. Fine, fine. Mataji, welcome to the group. Welcome.
Yeah, I was always looking for this, but then due to some or the other reason, I am not very consistent. But I'll try to be.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, what he's saying over here, he's saying that when Uddhava asked Krishna what was his desire, then the Lord explained to him that supreme position. So, and if you see, Krishna explained his supreme position to Uddhava, but not to Maitreya. He explained the eternal abodes in Dwarka and other places, and the places of pastimes also. He spoke about the inconceivable energy also, by which non-action and action coexist in the Lord. And this was not revealed by Shukdev Goswami or by Uddhava to Vidura. It was revealed by the Lord himself to Uddhava alone and to no one else. Because Krishna felt that there was no one yet an authoritative conclusion on this matter. So even where he says that even in the in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, it says that if contradiction was not a fact, then the wise sages would not have been bewildered. So the inconceivable energy is the cause of the pastimes of the Lord. Achintya Shakti, which we call. So whenever the Lord desires his inconceivable energy, he makes it appear and acts. No. So, so for example, I'll just give you an example of the inconceivable energy. So in the Damodar Leela, if you see that Krishna is fearing Mother Yashoda, Bhayam, why does Krishna need to fear Mother Yashoda? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why should he fear his own mother? But here he is fearing, the fear personified is fearing from his mother's stick. She is taking a stick and she's running behind Krishna. And he is fearful. So now in this particular pastime, Krishna's Achintya Shakti, or the inconceivable energy, has appeared because Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says in that commentary of his that if Krishna's Achintya Shakti would not intervene in this pastime, then it would appear that Krishna is doing a drama. But Krishna was really scared of Mother Yashoda. He was not doing any drama. Or even in the pastime where Krishna is eaten mud and he opens his mouth and Mother Yashoda sees the whole Brahmanda and she's bewildered over there. And Krishna is very, coolly and calmly he's showing, the whole cosmic manifestation in his lotus mouth. And even in this Damodar Leela also. So if Krishna, so what happens now with this Achintya Shakti, what she does is, she covers even the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. She covers the supremacy of the Supreme Lord means what? That she covers the supremacy of the Supreme Lord means that Krishna also does not know that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He forgets his supremacy. And that is why that whole pastime is such a realistic pastime that, oh, Mother Yashoda is running behind the Supreme Lord with a stick in her hand. And even Mother Yashoda is also covered by the Achintya Shakti, the inconceivable energy. She does not know only that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is thinking that he is my son and he's become very naughty day by day. If I do not control him, or if I do not punish him, or if I do not stop him, he will become, when he'll grow up, he will become, the biggest thief. So that is her fear. She's saying his mischief will keep on, growing day by day. And one day it will be harmful for him only. This is what Mother Yashoda is thinking. So both the ways, the inconceivable energy of the Lord has covered Mother Yashoda also and Krishna himself also. And that is why if you see, this pastime is such a relishable pastime. In the whole Damodar month, we keep on remembering this pastime. And if you see, some time back I had given, actually last year or before that, I don't remember specifically, that I had given a class where Krishna relinquished 8 of his opulences during this pastime only. 8 of his opulences. Maybe, this Damodar month is coming, I'll repeat that class once again. But he relinquished means what? Krishna is not attached. So he gave up 8 of his opulences. If somebody will tell, okay, please give all your opulences away, will we give? No. But Krishna is so detached that he gave up 8 of his opulences during this particular pastime. So this is what whenever the Lord desires, his inconceivable energy makes its appearance and she acts that time. So what we'll do is, we will just halt at this particular shloka because now from this 20th shloka, 20, 21 and 22, there is something more important coming up, and I think I'll like to discuss this on Monday. So we'll just halt over here. If anybody has any questions, queries, doubts, you're free to, ask. Or you have any comments, you all have any realizations, you're free to ask me. Yeah, Priyanka Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, I have a doubt here. Here it is, they mentioned that the Lord spoke what he spoke to Brahma, to Uddhava. Was that at that particular time when Maitreya Muni and Uddhava was there that the Lord spoke to Uddhava, and then he went to the ashram for the association of
Yes.
the sages?
Yes. Absolutely. Your understanding is correct. Yes. Absolutely.
And he followed him from Dwarka. He followed him here, and here he told him to go to. After speaking, he told him to go to the Sages Association.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's association. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So see, actually, even in what see, because when Krishna had given this knowledge to Brahma, he gave this knowledge to Brahma only in 4 shlokas. It is later that Brahma expanded these 4 shlokas and then it became 18,000 shlokas. So this knowledge that he gave to Uddhava, he had not given this knowledge to even Brahma. So, and what is that that knowledge? That knowledge of his pastimes and his dealing with his devotees in Dwarka and Vrindavan. That knowledge was not given to even Lord Brahma. So Uddhava is the, perfect recipient of the mercy of Krishna actually. So that way. Anybody else has any doubts, queries, questions? Okay. So if nobody has any doubts, we'll just halt for the day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Adana Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.